It's like, but she does have spiders in her beard or something.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vassals of Kingsgrave. We are here today to discuss episodes 6 and 7 of Rings of Power because we missed a week, so we're doing two this time. I'm Mary, also known as Nymeria, on our Discord server and all things Vassals of Kingsgrave. You can, by the way, join us there if you want to discuss Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, anything fantasy or science fiction related, basically. And so today I'm joined by Adam.
Hey, this is Adam, also known as Drownedsnow.
And also Brett.
Hey, Brett, White Raven sometimes.
Welcome. So just to remind everyone that we can and probably will spoil anything in the works of Tolkien and in the Peter Jackson's movies. So be aware of that. Let's get right to it. Starting with episode 6, I'm gonna do some recaps so that we know what we're talking about, since I'm assuming all of us watched it a week ago, probably.
Please do.
Yeah. So I just have a few notes, so it might not be very clear, but let's go with this. So the whole episode is centered around the battle for the Southlands. So we start with the ships from Numenor arriving around Middle-earth. So not much to say about this first arrival, but just that I enjoyed personally the whole link between Isildur and his horse. I find that I think that's a good touch, and we will probably see how it's useful later.
Not the waste of a good apple.
I mean, no.
He just takes a bite out of it and throws it away.
Well, truth is, it should have given the rest of it to the horse as well. They eat everything, including the core, so they wouldn't mind. But yeah, so waste of the core of the apple, at least.
The horse just has a hate bond with him.
Idly to the apples of Numenor fall.
The horse is running off to finish him off. He's like, no, he's not dead yet. I need to kill him. He didn't give me that apple.
Don't piss your horse off.
Clearly, not at least not if you're Numenorian. So yeah, they arrive around Middle-earth. Meanwhile, we see the first part of the kind of battle in the tower, the Elven Tower that all of the villagers were in. But actually, when the orcs arrive, they find it empty, and there's a whole Arandir is there, and he shoots an arrow, and some ropes breaks, and the whole tower goes down, which I personally found a bit too easy. And they presumably kill quite a few orcs this way, and that's the first part of it. What did you think about this idea that they would destroy the tower and then go to the village to make their last stand?
Well, they had plans. They were just outmaneuvered. But yeah, the town seems like a bad place to have a last stand, but I don't know. They probably wouldn't have made it in the tower either, so it is what it is.
Yeah, they just, I guess, delayed for what happens later, but and I think someone on the line described this as like budget Helm's Deep, and I'm like, that's generous. Dude's like, I'm gonna solo the whole Goblin army. You're like, no, you're not. I don't know. This whole story has not been like engaging at all for me. And then the way they bring it together was kind of like meh. But I mean, it's good. We had action finally, so.
I like that they're giving the orcs some agency, and this Adar guy, like, he genuinely cares about them. I appreciate that. At least I think he does. He seems to.
I mean, they're not like super grotesque, but they're menacing, and yeah, they talk and they have some personality, which they do in books. So yeah, that is good.
I mean, I think Tolkien himself was a bit. He knew that the orcs were maybe a flaw in his work, like that they were mainly in the Lord of the Rings, like used for battle and just soldiers of evil, but with no agency, no an unclear historical origin as well. Like he hesitated between them being elves, former elves or former men. So I think it's good that the show is trying to clear that up, and they chose the elf, at least for part of them, and give them an agency. I agree. It's an interesting take.
I like how they're trying to get something done. They're trying to create a home for themselves because they don't have one.
Yeah.
And nobody wants them anywhere.
Yeah, we want a mountain front view. That's all. Volcano adjacent. No big deal. But they I'm reading The Hobbit to my son recently, and I'm kind of like strict by the fact that like in that like the goblins definitely have a lot more to do. Like they have some personalities. They crack jokes.
Sing songs.
Yeah, they sing silly songs. Like the elves sing silly songs. They're less overly serious.
Yeah. And I agree that Adar does seem to genuinely care for them. But also I have to argue that maybe the volcanic land is not the best place to live, even for orcs. Like they could live by night and sleep by day, and in a nice surrounding. But fine, if that's what they want.
But they don't seem to like growing things.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But like, do they need to eat? Because if they don't like growing things, but they
go to restaurants because meat's back on the menu.
All right. Okay, so then we get to the battle actually. So it actually kind of goes well at first. Like they defeat the first wave of assailants, and then they figure out that they actually killed their own fellow countrymen that went to Adar and the orcs in the previous episode. So that's a bit tragic. I'm assuming everyone just killed their own families there, so not great. Did you think that? I mean, I thought it was well done, this whole part, but just maybe not quite enough emphasis, not quite enough feeling in that discovery that they had just killed their own.
I mean, I thought it was well done to me. Like they definitely seemed distraught, and then the rest of the company showed up, and then they had nothing they could even do about it, basically. So I thought it was a trap well played.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it went very quick. Yeah, they didn't have time to live with it, which is probably natural for the situation, but they didn't get that one dude.
Yeah, right.
The evilest old dude.
Yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, and then Adar and the orcs actually do arrive, and the whole village basically gets, I mean, the survivors, they are stuck in their little falling back keep. Bronwyn is hurt. They do some kind of surgery thing. The battle is gruesome. I thought it was depicted in a very crude way, the whole thing, which is probably a change from what we might have seen in the movies, or it's new for a Lord of the Rings show, I think.
I like how it's pretty brutal because I feel like these people would fight brutal. They wouldn't, like, other than the elf dancing around a little bit, most of it is just like hack and slash because none of them are really trained. And the orcs just come in and they're brute force. And I think it's well done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've been allowed to be trained, right? Isn't that the whole thing? Like the elves have been watching them kind of to make sure they don't get into trouble, so they don't have weapons or training, or so they're pretty vulnerable.
Seem to be all right with bows.
Oh yeah, I guess they gotta hunt, right?
Yeah, but yeah, they do all right with that. But I agree, White Raven, that it's it is realistic in that sense. It is more
Realistic as a fantasy show can be.
I mean, we've had this discussion last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, that I do feel like even in a fantasy show, you have to make things work in world. And I think that was the basis for some discussion on the Discord as well, that just the fact that it's fantasy cannot like give you any excuse to do things that don't make sense in
Have
world.
Legolas running up falling rocks.
I mean,
Physics still applies, damn it.
Bro, Surf Legolas was my hero as a kid. Okay.
you can make up some rules, but that are not the same rules that we have in our world. But once you've made them up, you kind of have to follow them. And if they make no statement that it works this way, you would expect some kind of Earth-like physics to apply.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. If you come up with new rules and you're like, okay, this is what happens, then I'll follow you. I'm down with that. But if you know the volcano erupts and you see fire coming at people's face and like hardly any of them get hurt.
Well, that's where a lot of them got hurt. It was just the ones that had plot armor protecting them that were okay.
Yeah, like Galadriel, literally, like in like the heart of the fire is like, I don't know what's wrong with any of y'all. They're like, oh well, elves, you know, they got that super thick skin. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Before we get there, we're actually saved by the Numenorians' arrival in a very in a scene very reminiscent of Gandalf arriving with the Rohirrim, at Helm's Deep, which was a nice touch. I think they're doing that. Like,
how did they know where to go?
Well, that's the main thing, right? It doesn't make sense.
The Southlands, bro.
I mean,
it seemed like a pretty small village.
There was also a lot of cut back and forth between like daytime and nighttime, and I was wondering if maybe there was something lost of like
sent out scouts.
Like, well, yeah, I'm like these are happening at different times, but they cut scenes out or something, or I don't know. It was a bit confusing, but watching them ride in was really cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it looked great.
And we can presume that their arrival was actually a few days / weeks ago, and they spend some time figuring out where everything is going to happen, and they arrive in nick of time for this specific village after having seen devastated ones on the way. I don't know, but in the way they did it,
couldn't we have used this scene though, of like someone pointing them in the, like every Law and Order episode, they like, you're the criminal. No, man, he's over there. Like, you just need that transitional scene where someone's like, oh yeah, I just came from that area and the goblins are coming, like the orcs are there. Oh, okay.
Or have Galadriel climb a hill and be like, oh, they're right over there. I can see them from here.
Yeah, something. Yeah, absolutely. But once they're there, I like all of the battle scenes. The horse riding is good. And everyone's saved. I mean, not quite everyone, but a lot of people, and they capture Adar for now.
I like how brutal he was about just killing people. Like, they do not care about you.
Yeah.
They're like, just one at a time. Just start killing them. I don't care.
Yeah, this was really.
I definitely would have buckled under the same pressure that the kid was going through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's an argument to be made that it might even have been the right thing to do if you don't.
Sooner, even.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, since what happened anyway, yes, the right decision was to do it as soon as possible.
Yeah, but like even with that, even if like he doesn't really know the consequences of giving the thing to Adar, right? So it might have been terrible and probably would have been, but without knowing for sure, saving your fellow villagers might be the right thing in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and even here, we don't even really know what the hilt is, right? I mean, they say maybe it's like the hilt of Sauron's sword, or, I think people were thinking like it had something to do with the Witch King, or who knows.
They knew it was a key.
Yeah, they knew it was
But not
for
what.
something. They had no idea what. So, hindsight.
Yeah,
Probably should have
absolutely.
died on that hill.
So we get a few scenes where they chase Adar through the forest, and Galadriel stops Halbrand from killing him, and Halbrand is all like, "Do you remember me? Do you know who I am?" To Adar, who's like, "No, dude, I have no idea. Did I kill your wife or something?"
It's me, Sauron!
I think he killed him before.
So, and we get like the maybe reveal about who Adar is, as like one of the primary orcs, or Uruk, as he prefers them to be called.
I like how they
mm,
didn't make him someone from
yeah,
canon. They just said no, he was one of the first orcs to be turned, or one of the first elves to be turned, and that's who he is. I think that's great. They didn't try
Yeah,
to
that
like
worked.
put something else in there like we were thinking they would.
Right.
yeah. The whole fandom was like, maybe he's that guy, maybe he's this forgotten dude, maybe he's X's son, and nope, just yeah.
Do you think that's what they're wanting? I mean, because they have the stranger and they had Adar, and then everyone's playing like where's find the Sauron. Like all these people are trying to find characters that I think like just aren't even going to exist.
I definitely think they're purposely making the show have questions like that.
Right.
That's just good storytelling, I guess. Keep me guessing till the next week. I mean, it can backfire if you don't have a plan, but right now it seems pretty good. Like I genuinely want to know who people are, or where they're going, or what their end game is.
Yeah, I like that about the show. I think that's one of the things they're doing well. They're tying it to what we know from the movies, but also from the books. I think they are actually trying to do right by the law and by the story that already exists, while still allowing themselves to like bring in Gandalf an age before he's supposed to drop. And yeah, so I think it was a good surprise to be just like, Adar is no one, he's just this elf, and that's it.
If this is Gandalf, I think he's
If
going to go back for reinforcements, and then they'll
oh
have them return. No,
all right.
like in the end, like when the other wizards come across,
Mhm.
I think that's going to be him coming back.
Oh,
Mm.
you think like he goes through this series and then goes, hold on, I forgot my staff, and like heads back.
I don't know about that, but
I'll be back in 1,000 years.
I
it's
need
weird.
Radagast.
I mean, he definitely could still be Gandalf. I don't know. I just like they're definitely doing enough to kind of obscure what's going on, and they keep trying to make him seem nefarious, but then not nefarious. Like I don't know. I'm not like super invested in who he is. I just kind of want an answer at some point, and then I'll judge it then.
Well, I think his story is a good one though. So far, though, like I
Yeah.
like his interaction with the Harfoots and how he doesn't want. It does seems like he doesn't want to be bad, but sometimes things that he does ends up that way, and they judge him accordingly. And it's not
Well, it
always,
seems like he's just confused. I mean, he just doesn't, really understand where he is or maybe what he is. So
which is
that's
kind of
it.
strange, right? Like I didn't know that if a Maiar came over, they came over with a clean slate.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
I know Gandalf, like they have the, oh, they used to call me that, but he could still talk. It's not like he
Yeah,
forgot things.
yeah. I don't know. It's yeah. That's why I don't really know the angle they're going for yet. So we'll see.
We'll see, definitely. I mean, hopefully, but I enjoy this part of the story as well, since we're talking about it, even if it's
All
in
right,
the
it's
next
not even in
episode.
this
That
episode.
no, but it's fine. We can have a just our Harfoot and Gandalf and the three creepy white people.
3PP.
Now creepy.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
Are
I
they
heard
all
the same
female?
thing, Brett.
I don't know if they have gender. They kind of
They're very
look
androgynous looking.
female.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're necessarily human either. I mean, who knows?
They're definitely creepy.
Yeah.
For sure. And definitely not good. Like I think we can say for certain then that they are nefarious.
Are you
Which
sure?
would
Maybe they thought they were cold and wanted to start a fire for them.
sure, yeah.
To be fair, they were defending themselves.
I mean, from um, little people who have literally no way to do
That's
anything
not
against
fair.
you.
Little people can throw rocks. Little people
Yes,
can
but
fight too. Stop being
they
little
weren't.
peopleist.
They weren't fighting though.
Yeah, that one guy brought the fire, right?
And he said he was going to knock him out.
Protect his
Yeah.
daughter.
Big words for little Harfoot.
Yeah, I do generally enjoy the Harfoot content. So, then this episode not having like anything being focused here kind of was a bit more off-putting for me, I think, because like I said, the Southlands story just has not been engaging to me, and then we have the Númenorian story, which has kind of been like up and down, and I've enjoyed, and then they just kind of like suddenly they were together. I'm not sure still how I feel about how kind of fast that seemed to happen, but
I'm just curious how this season's even going to end. I mean,
right.
they only have one episode left, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what the hell are they gonna do?
Clearly, they're going to leave it at a cliffhanger, but
I was expecting to have a
I
bit
have
more
not
about
seen
the
a
rings
single
before.
ring of power.
Yeah.
Like,
eventually you
that
are going to have Rings of Power in your Rings of Power show.
yeah,
I
it's
mean-
rings of power, and there hasn't even been one.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, no, there's one ring. It was one Gandalf landed in. If it's Gandalf.
Sure.
Right.
Let's finish about the Harfoot though. Like, so they decide to go on a quest to find the stranger and warn him of the bad androgynous people
Peepees.
after him beings.
I hope they're fleet of foot. Because that group seemed to know where they were going. They were following them pretty well.
Yeah.
But maybe Harfoots can track like nobody's business.
I mean, they do kind of know where the stranger is going, so they can also like
Try to get there quicker.
probably.
Harfoots are great sprinters.
And you know those peepees aren't running. They're just like gliding along
Yeah, that's the thing that's
all
floating.
ominously.
It's like the killer in like any like slasher movie. You're like you run away and they're still just right behind you somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the way the whole community finally kind of came together, and like what we had in previous episodes, the kind of conspiracy people being like, oh, the stranger is dangerous and we need to leave them all behind, and like it was a bit crazy and felt uncomfortable and not like I didn't really like that.
I
And
thought it was realistic though. The way that came
yes,
around, very realistic.
yes, exactly. I think it was good that they showed suspicion that could change into trust after a couple of events. So I really appreciated that.
And the Harfoots have been up until this point have been kind of a little intense with their like leave them behind.
Yeah.
No one goes off trail, but fuck you if you do. Like, like it's like there's been a few times where it's like, oh yeah, someone fell behind because like their family died and no one helped them. I'm like, how many people are just sitting in a wagon doing nothing? Like, I don't know. Like they help each other until they don't. Like when it's like when we're on the trail, it's like, well, every Harfoot for themselves or every family for itself, which didn't always kind of add up. So our kind of like two little hero pairs, helping.
Mhm.
What's the girl that lost like all of her family? I think it starts with a P. I can't remember her name.
Shit. Yeah, it is a P.
But she's carrying her own wagon by herself, and then of course
Hanging
they
right
have
along while she
giant,
does.
this giant of maybe Gandalf. Like let's use him. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are other people that could have helped.
Do you guys think that the other Harfoots are gonna like settle in this spot? And
You think this is the Shire?
I mean, they're right near. Like the Shire's near Greenwood the Great, right? It becomes
No.
not Greenwood the Great, but because
I mean,
that's where they said they were, right?
no, they're at something called the Grove.
Close enough that like fallout from fucking Mordor hit them, so I don't
Yes,
know.
exactly.
It's confusing.
It's too close, I think. I don't
I
think
thought
it's the Shire.
I thought Greenwood the Great is what turned into I can't think of the name of the forest up by Dol Guldur.
Mirkwood?
Mirkwood. Didn't Greenwood the Great turn into Mirkwood?
But I mean, Mirkwood is on the other side of the Misty
Well,
Mountains,
yeah,
so it's definitely not the Shire.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
probably right. Some
I
fools just
What a
talking, don't even
crash.
think.
I need a map.
It used to be bigger.
But you are actually right. It was formerly Greenwood the Great, that turned into Mirkwood.
And
Yeah, then they'd be far away if that's where they are.
Which is not the Shire, but yeah.
I was just thinking, since he like created this little paradise with his magic there, maybe that would have ended up being the Shire, but I
That'd be
guess
nice.
it doesn't
They're
have
like,
to
let's
be.
just start digging holes in the hill.
Well, Greenwood the Great used to go over the mountains, guys. You probably don't remember that from the history that doesn't exist, but
Yeah, at one point the mountains rose up, the whole thing.
The mountains aren't there yet. And the Shire was really big then.
I mean, like, this
Um,
is a world where like massive geographic change like that does happen.
yes.
But you know, it takes divine intervention. So
right,
Yeah.
Luvatars to be like, enough.
yeah, I mean
I'm
that
done
would
with
be kind of
this.
a fun thing. Yeah, like there's a big forest that goes across the mountains or something, and they get to the other side, and they decide, you know what, we're gonna put these mountains up to separate, something. Like I don't know, that's something they could do, but I don't feel like that's in their budget. Raising mountains a little expensive.
They raised a volcano.
Yeah, they
Yes.
spent all the money on
They-
the Mordor fireworks.
It's
Which works. I mean, apart from it being completely ridiculous that they would survive it, the
Yeah.
imagery itself is quite powerful.
I don't mind like the creation of Mordor and the way or Mount Doom and like the way that happens and everything, but it feels weird to me that like Sauron's not involved and he doesn't even name it, and I don't know.
why
Like-
would he set this up this way? Like, I don't understand what the plan would be unless it
Yeah,
is like misdirection. Because why would you set everything up to have this key to create this giant volcano that would
As
like
a
blacken
backup
half the
plan,
sky and then
use
not
it for a
do
volcano.
it?
Maybe this is set up as like a trap. You know what I mean? Maybe this was like you lure your enemies here and then you spring the trap and that's all it is. I don't know.
Did he know Numenor was coming?
No, but I mean, like, if this was set up, hundreds of years ago or 1,000 years ago, or you know what I mean? Like, this whole mechanism could have just been like, a
Well,
kind of a doomsday weapon sort of thing.
apparently it wouldn't have affected the elves, so why even do it?
Well, maybe he didn't know that. Maybe he was reasonable like us. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird if this is like his set up to be the creation of his eventual land, like why he never did it.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it looked cool. Like visually, it was awesome, but I just don't understand the logistics of it. Why you would? 'Cause I realized they were like digging the tunnels and everything, but why was that key made to just like break levees? Is that what it did?
It broke the dam that was holding the river in, and I think the weirdest thing for me is that it means Adar knew what the key was and what it would do, and he planned the whole thing. But
Right, because they were like digging the holes and everything for a while. Like it.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Is this would have to have been something set up by Sauron that he had knowledge of. So.
Well, I guess they could say it was set up by Morgoth.
Okay, yeah. But then what's the key?
And then Sauron just skates in and takes what isn't rightfully his. That sounds like him.
That actually does.
So bringing it back to the episode, and so it's still in episode 6. We also have that. So a lot about Halbrand. We have a bit of a weird, maybe romantic, maybe not moment with Galadriel, where he's like, "When I fought beside you, I felt." I don't know how to describe it, but I want to keep it forever. And she's like, yes, I felt it too. And
Well, they find out they're enemies.
I mean,
I don't know why this had to even be an exchange.
Does
Yeah.
anybody else feel like... I know we've talked about some of the dialogue being poorly written, but so like with Elrond, I feel like he's older than he looks. Like there's some wisdom in the way he talks and the way he goes about himself. And with Galadriel, I don't know if it's the actress or whatever, but it just doesn't feel like it's there with her. And I think that's my problem with most of the elves in the show, actually. Like they should have like this wisdom, and they've lived for thousands of years, yet Galadriel hasn't really figured herself out yet.
She's being somewhat impulsive, and she's still angry a lot of times and kind of confused a lot of times, and she goes back and forth because some of the stuff in Numenor she had that, I would say. She had that kind of ethereal, wise elf thing going for a minute there. While she was wearing the bed sheets. But
and she'll have it in the next episode as well. I think with Theo, there's some actually quite good dialogue there where she is being with the she has this wisdom that we kind of want from the elves, I think. But I agree with everything Halbrand, it's not quite there, and that's confusing.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, the next episode they mentioned Celeborn anyway. She's like,
Yeah,
I had a husband once. Like, okay.
Well, she didn't say he was dead. She just said she hasn't seen him since.
She didn't.
Yeah.
But she's like, I ain't seen that dude in a minute. So you're kind of like, huh.
Well, I don't know how often that happens to the elves. They're like, oh, I was just on a walkabout for like 400 years. Who knew?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, because Elrond's like, well, I've been gone for 20 years, so it's like no big deal. And Durin's like, you have offended my soul.
I mean, with Celeborn, I think she believes him dead in the show at this point, or at least she believes that the orcs have taken him from her, because that's when she's mentioning him.
Yeah, I mean, if they make him into like an orc or I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm worried about that.
but yeah. So going into that episode 7, we're seeing the whole aftermath of the volcano thing. I mean, let's all agree that it makes no sense that any of them survived this. And the whole thing is horrible.
You're underestimating plot armor. It's very strong. It's just
Sure.
nothing seems to get through it.
Except in the eyes of a queen regent. She had weak eyes.
Yeah.
But I bet she'll see better because of it.
What is with that choice? It's like we have to blind her. Like, what's is that just
I think fantasy is littered with people who get blinded but then see better. Like they don't see physically, but
I think that as a character, if she survives, like she will be better for it as far as her wisdom, I suppose. But I just mean, like, why blind her? What is it? Just sort of to do that character development? Is it random? Is it just to show us that, like, oh, something did happen, and it wasn't just a random person, but they don't want to kill anyone, in the main kind of cohort? Like, I don't know.
I mean, they supposedly killed Isildur. No one believes that because we've all seen the movies. But
you know what I hope happens?
I'm sorry. I would love a show where they kill Isildur. Like, what universe is this?
I hope that I assume he's still alive, and the horse is going to find him. But I hope that Elendil like adopts his son's best friend, and he changes his name to Isildur. And then he names his son after himself, because that is fantastic.
It doesn't mention that he was adopted, but why would it? I mean, that's his real son. Tolkien didn't need to let you know that. Oh man.
And that's I'd love that, but I also
You're the
think
son I always wanted.
ooh. I think the horse is going to find him clearly, which is another parallel to what we have in the Lord of the Rings, where the horse finds Aragorn after he
Oh
fell.
yeah,
Yeah, so that'd be nice.
these horses and the bonds they create.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, right.
I mean, look,
They are
horses
special
in this world
horses.
are pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
some good horse action, like the riding and yeah. If we get something like that, it'd be nice too. But
Yeah.
we didn't mention like how the fuck did they fit all of these horses on 3 ships?
I
They
mean,
just did, man. Don't worry about it.
So many
I
horses.
was
It's like a
I
clown
said
car.
that 2 weeks ago. It's like it doesn't make sense that on these boats, Isildur is there to take care of the cavalry horses because there's no room. But whatever, the
They're
boats
below
are like
deck. Like these
goddesses.
ships just go real deep. They're like way
Yeah,
under the water. I mean, that's one of those things I can just go, whatever. It's not important, but it is funny.
I mean it's not important, but it is those little things that also make me they take me out of the show a little bit. Like it's not important, but it's still
Well,
I'd
it
like it
makes
to
you
be
kind of
better.
apprehensive about the writing, right? Like when a few of these things is one thing, but when it starts to pile up and pile up, you're like,
Well, it's just you
okay,
have a ship that you can fit like, I don't know, 20 people on the deck of, and yet somehow you have a full stable of
100
horses
horses.
beneath them.
Yeah,
I guess people just sleep on the deck.
yeah. Maybe there was an advance party.
Well, there's already a colony of Numenorians there, so they'll just hang out with them.
Right. I mean, they do say former colony, but so yeah, people do survive. I liked in this episode that the pacing between the groups was more interesting than in previous episodes. Like we have a few scenes with these guys, and then we go to the Harfoots, and then to Durin and Elrond, and back to Numenor, and so I thought it was enjoyable to watch from that point of view, just more movement in the episode.
Especially after the last one, where it was very centrally focused on the
Hmm.
Southlands, which understandably so. It was like their big moment.
Yeah, but even before, like the episodes where we had all of those groups in one episode, it was more, if I remember correctly, like 20 minutes spent on the Southlands and then 10 minutes with the Harford, and then so but you didn't go back to a group once you've
Like back and forth. Yeah.
yeah.
That
So
there's been many episodes where part of the groups are left out. It's
yeah,
like no dwarves in this one or no Harfoots in this one, and it's really random. But I'll live with that. However they want to tell their
yeah,
story.
and go with it. But I did enjoy it this time. Um, so like I mentioned, I so Theo and Galadriel escaped the whole fire thing together. And I actually enjoyed their whole uh dynamic. Like we get some dialogue from Galadriel that could be um that is quite close to what Tolkien could have written about this period, and we get some kind of quote that is almost like what Gandalf says to Frodo in Moria, where he's like, I cannot quote it properly, but like you don't know why these things happen to you, but yeah, I'm bad at this. I'm gonna find the actual quote, but you agree, right? It was similar kind of wisdomy thing.
I just wish they hadn't had to force her in with like the youngest person to show
Yeah,
wisdom. Like I don't know. It was fine. I guess I'm just struggling with her character, and I want it to be great, and some of it's ringing hollow to me, and I don't know
yeah.
if it's my issue with like with the elves not seeming high enough to me.
But I think it's not
I
just
don't
the
think they
elves,
should be high enough. Their light is fading for some reason.
Yeah.
So, you know,
right?
like
Well, let's
they're
get to
gonna
that part because that part was great, though. The
they're
dwarves
gonna
and the
they're gonna start walking around like, anybody remember which way is north? I don't have any mithril, man. They're gonna become fiends.
Yeah, you're right, Brett. Let's go to the dwarves and Elrond and the elves dying and whatever.
as much
It was
as I
awesome.
as much as I think this
Yeah.
mithril thing is kind of silly, but I'll allow them the latitude to explore it. I like it. Like they're showing that it actually does, for whatever reason, hold back whatever corruption it is that is affecting the trees. So you assume it would do the same for the elves. I don't know how it's going to work. Like, oh, you just have one of these rocks in your pocket, you're good. But we'll see. Like, I don't know how they're going to explore that.
Well, is it Celebrimbor that was like, we need to have our soldiers coated in this from head to toe? I'm like, that seems extreme. But I don't know. I like the characters here so much, and I just enjoy all of this when it's on the screen. So yeah, like you said, they have a lot more latitude to like. The Mistral thing is really stupid, I think, but I don't know. I'm enjoying it.
And Elrond has won me over. Like
Yeah.
when I first saw that character, I was like, I don't think this guy works. Like he's kind of like a chody looking face, and then
Yeah. What's Ned Stark doing here?
and then he just like the way he speaks and stuff actually makes you feel like he's old and wise, and I don't know, he's a good diplomat. And Durin's great. He plays off him well, and you can see that he's like way more. I want to say like keeps his heart on his sleeve kind of thing. Like he's very emotional.
Yeah.
And he
He's
does it great. And I love that his wife is like, "You are doing this."
Yeah, all
He's
the
so
dwarven
great.
characters are really good. I mean,
Yeah.
that was if they'd screwed that up, I probably would have just been like, "Fuck it, I'm not watching the show."
Even his father is great, and like the interaction between Durin and his father, even Elrond and his father, like all the interactions in that have been just perfect for me. Like I don't even care about the mithril thing. Like it doesn't bother me as long as they keep telling the story this way. That and well, you woke the Balrog. You shouldn't have dropped that leaf.
Oops. Yeah,
No,
I
wait,
agree.
the
It's
Balrog. Am I wrong? They're in Casa Doom, right?
Yeah.
So isn't the Balrog in Moria?
That's the same
The
place.
same place.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm like I'm getting the time mixed up because I thought they didn't show up there until
It's okay.
Like,
I had Greenwood the Great on the wrong side of the
800 years
mountains,
later
so
or
you're forgiven.
something. Yeah, I'm like, wait a second, because at first that's what I thought, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right.
But what
the timing
doesn't
is
make
way off.
sense to me is they like dove too deeply and greedily, and in this they didn't.
They
But it's
haven't yet.
already
They just love
awoken.
the fucking leaf. Yeah,
Like you think it would have awoken after they actually did something, but no.
I think
I
they're
mean-
going. I don't think it's doing anything down there. I think they're going. Obviously, they're going to go back down there, like somehow.
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think the Balrog's just gonna like come up and start killing everyone. Because then they haven't even gotten any mithril. It's kind of stupid.
Right.
I'm honestly not even sure that the Balrog is going to have anything to do with anything in this
Right.
show yet. I think it was
Maybe at the very end of the
just
show.
yeah. They showed it just to be like now we
Like,
see
hey, look what
when
we
they
got.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right, Adam, that they did like the dwarves did like abandon Moria a few times and came back to it. So I don't know when they established themselves there for the first time, if it's the Second Age or not. But
Yeah,
that's
I
where
gotta look at the timeline again because I thought at this point with this stuff going on, they weren't there, but I don't know. That's why I was like, why is there mithril here? I didn't think mithril was there, but anyway.
But supposedly the door that Elrond goes to and the one he's kicked out from is it is the door that the Fellowship is going to in Fellowship of the Ring just before it's been built up and
Modernized.
modernized with all the mithril and the Elvish password and stuff.
So I'm assuming that the elves and the dwarves are going to start getting along here for a
Yeah.
short period of time. And obviously it's an Elrond Durin thing that gets them together.
They
Yeah.
have to.
And
I mean, Celebrimbor is the one that finishes up that door, right? So, and then the ring
presumably,
is getting made, and
I assume
yeah.
they are going to take the deal eventually, but
yeah.
I just don't want. Sounds bad, but I don't want his father to have to die for that to happen.
Yes, exactly. I was wondering the same thing.
What do you? Why is he so against this? Like in world, like I love these interactions, and I thought King Durin was pretty great, just the way he dealt with his son, and then now he's like, well, fuck you, take off. You're not the prince anymore, basically.
Take off your metal bib.
And I'm just like, he's like, it don't belong to you, boy. Leave it. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, what exactly was the? I know they were digging, and there was like a mining accident. It's dangerous, but dwarves aren't known for like shirking away from dangerous mines. Like, it didn't seem that dangerous. Like, figure out a way, man. You're a dwarf. Like, what's his big? Like, he just doesn't want to help the elves. Is that the thing where he's like, oh, the elves are meant to die. I don't want to interfere. That kind of came off.
I think he's genuinely worried that the mountain's not going to hold up to their digging.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah,
because they're in a good place here. Like they're thriving without digging out the mithril. Like
right.
it'd be nice to
don't-
have, but now that the elves
Yeah.
are interested, I feel like he almost wants to not find it because he doesn't want the
But
attention.
he didn't even look. If only he'd looked.
But he
would've
knows
gotten
it's
that
there.
money. Yeah. He's like,
I'm
look how
afraid
much
that-
it is, Dad.
But I'm afraid that if he looks, then they're going to want to mine it all, and then
Yeah.
his worries
And
about the mountain come to full.
Yeah. I wonder if there's more going on there, like if he's got some sort of knowledge that we don't know about, or
I mean, I don't know, but I found his arguments possibly compelling, like the idea that how much are we supposed to intervene, and maybe the time of elves is past, and like we know that thankfully they are still around in the Third Age to finish off Sauron, but like he doesn't know that, and I think the show did it well here too. We have this king who is taking like the prudent path, and we have the son and his wife being quite ambitious and like because there's both. Like I think Disa specifically, yeah, strikes me as pretty ambitious in these final scenes where she's like, "You are gonna be king. We're gonna rule over the mountain," stuff like that. So
I love the ambition. It's just
yeah, it's a bit of a change. I didn't expect that coming from her, where she was just like, "Do it," you know.
but you can see it in her eyes. She means it. Like that lady is acting up a storm right there. I'm just like, oh my god. I can
Yeah.
feel how serious she is.
And Durin, they've kept his motivations of just like, I want to help my brother, you know, and
Yeah.
that's been really powerful. So it's hard. It is hard watching that, and then them constantly being shut out. But hopefully they
the
find some other way.
combination of her ambition and the shot of the Balrog, for me, means that what the show is trying to tell us, at least, is that maybe she was indeed too ambitious, and for the dwarves, this wasn't the right call. For them as a people, you can argue that for Middle Earth it is, but is she doing it for the right reasons? That's not clear. And ambition by itself is not necessarily a bad thing. That's something that is debatable, but I think they did bring some nuance to that, and it's not just the old king who's too lazy to do anything and or too afraid, and the young prince who wants to save his friends. There's a bit more politics in there.
I think that eventually what's going to happen is either Durin will convince the other dwarves to convince the king to let them mine some for the elves. And then I think the greedy part will take over when they see how valuable it is and how good it is for their people. That's when they're going to go into mining too much and too deeply.
Yeah, that's what I would hope for a show that's taken a lot of time this season to kind of slowly do things. I hope they don't rush that aspect of it. I hope that we see them like making great works, and then that kind of consumes them.
It does feel like they're taking their time with the show, which I do appreciate, that they don't need to like run to like their best points right away. Like they can slow play it, maybe make up some points in the meantime. Like I don't mind it as long as it doesn't mess with the canon. They can mess with the canon that exists in the books because that is not their canon, but just try to keep it close and realistic and feasible. I don't know. So far, I like what they're doing.
Yeah, me too. Apart from the few things that we've discussed,
We never did ring ratings.
we never did. Right? You're right. Well, let's do it at the end.
That one,
Or
Adam,
now.
such a good podcaster.
Hey, I was just trying to get the recorder on.
Okay, I'm a bad host today. I forget about everything. Yeah, you're right. So, how many rings of power for you guys? Out of 5.
Are we still doing 20?
No, we're not doing 20. We've done 5 for the past few episodes to make it easier.
Okay. So for it's 6 and 7?
Yeah, let's do the 2 at the same time.
Oh, at the same time.
Oh, whatever. Whichever way you want. Oh, you can give your ratings for 6 and for 7 separately. That might make more sense, actually.
Good. So for 6, I would say I would give it a solid 4. Like I enjoyed it, but I think number 7 was better to me. Like I enjoyed it more. So I guess I give that one a 4.5. So I guess I could have probably just given both 1 rating, huh?
Adam?
All right. Yeah, I'll just the set of episodes, because I guess they are well connected enough. This is like a kind of our big, things are starting to come together. I give it like, I don't know, 4 out of the 7 dwarven rings. I
4 out of 7 for you.
That's right.
You're not making this easy.
Well, being that these ratings are very arbitrary and don't really matter anyway.
That's right. Make it fun. That's why we pick random things. As much as I do kind of give shit for some of the things the show is doing that don't make sense to me, most of that is minor. Most of the characterization for the characters I really care about has been good. And, I'm interested in what's going on with the proto-hobbits, and is that Gandalf, and the dwarf stuff is really good. I hope that continues to, at least the, relational dynamics there continue to go. So.
I like how we just call him Gandalf now.
Yeah.
I have no reason to believe that's him other than
possibly Gandalf,
intuition.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard for me to believe that they're going to want that to be anyone else. So
Yeah,
logically, it certainly could be. But and the action was good, and I don't think we're going to get some big battle next week, or I just don't know what they're setting up for the finale. So I guess that'll kind of adjust my feelings about these episodes and the rest of the season. I'm very confused about next week.
Yeah, me too. And well, we can argue that the fact that some of the characters you care about and you're like, their characterization is good, and that's all I want. Well, yes, but the ones you don't care about is probably because their characterization is not that good. So that's not a clear success for the show. But on my part, I don't know. I feel like I'm never going up to 5 because we always find something to dislike about an episode. So I'm gonna go to 5 for this one because
Oh,
the 7.
you're gonna give it
Yes.
1 out of 1 Mordor keys?
Yes, because it was the best.
1 rating to roll it all.
Exactly. And I'd give a 4 to the previous ones. Yeah, solid episodes, the 2 of them. I'm enjoying watching this, so it's good. All right. Any other thoughts on anything in this episode? Or I think we've covered a lot of ground. But
we already covered it, but I just love the emotion and connection between Durin and Elrond. It's fantastic.
it is
Like those guys
really
are acting their asses off. Like you can see Elrond like he's in kind of in pain, but he needs to compose himself. And then Durin, he isn't very good at composing himself. He just sit there and broods, and I love it. All the acting there is great.
Yeah, I love the whole insults match for Durin's father, for the king. Like when Disa is like calling him, I don't even remember what kind of stone for a brain fool or whatever. And then she's like, "Oops, sorry. I don't really like when you do that about my mother." So
It's like, but she does have spiders in her beard or something.
Yeah, I really laughed at that point. It was really good. I think it's basically everyone, at least in our small community. I think it's the part everyone loves best. So
Except for Greg, he can't get past that mithril. He
yeah,
can't handle it. It's too much for him. I think he quit the show because of it.
I think so.
No, I think he still hate watching. I mean,
He's
Casey might
watching with
force him.
Casey, right?
yeah, I think like it's on, so he's gonna watch it, right?
With his arms crossed, harumphing the whole time.
It's like when I watch The Bachelor with my wife, and I'm like, none of this makes sense. They're like, oh my gosh, we're dating, but like, why is he seeing this other girl? You're on a show where he sees like 50 women. Like, this is. Don't complain.
Okay, guys. Well, I had a good time. I'm gonna go, so I'm gonna try and edit this right now, so that it's done. I hope I see you next week for the last episode. Hopefully. And thanks for joining me.
Thanks for hosting.
Yeah, well, my pleasure.
I mean, it was mediocre, but you did all right. I mean, better next time.
Shit, bro. We're just gonna stop calling you White Raven. We're gonna have to call you like, I don't know, Spite Raven, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see the connection, but okay.
Well, thank you guys for joining me, and you can host next time, Brett. We'll see how you do. And well, have a good day, everyone. And see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.